Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of GodSaw's Turnbuckle, the wrestling video podcast I run here on youtube.com/UC Campbell. And again, we are doing this live, and this one is going to focus around WWE NXT on October 18th, 2017. And before we get into that though, we have tables, ladders, and chairs this weekend, as I have my pillow in the background. I forgot to get rid of that today, but we're not gonna move that for the time being. We'll leave it there. But before we get into everything on NXT side, I am going to again throw back out there that I am running a contest, a giveaway this weekend with tables, ladders, and chairs for a WWE Network 3-month network card. The link is in the description. There's also a few other knickknacks that are going to kind of go along with that too. I will be mailing that out to the winner, and I believe the contest should be ending Sunday night. At that point in time. Again, link is in the description, and hopefully good luck to everybody who's entered. I've been kind of periodically checking it out. There are some people that have done so far, and hopefully we'll be seeing more going into the pay-per-view itself. So now on to WWE NXT. Again, October 18th, 2017. They started off this episode right off the bat with another triple threat match for qualifying into the NXT Women's Title Fatal 4-Way, with it being Sonya Deville, Ruby Riott, and Ember Moon. And this is a good match. This is a good match right off the bat. Just loads of storytelling of what they were doing to set up the entire match itself. Sonya Deville looking really good inside of this match. Of course, Ruby Riott and Ember Moon have been kind of mainstays in the terms of people knowing that they're really good in the ring, everything in that sense. Ember Moon's character and ring work has been really good. Stuff they did with Ruby Riott in here, and Sonya Deville as well. They did a lot of really good stuff here in every bit of the match. You had a really good takedown off of a springboard from Sonya Deville to Ember Moon that was sold perfectly. Like, Ruby Riott and Ember Moon selling towards Sonya Deville, like her strikes, everything in that sense, made her come off just like looking really good inside of this match. Ruby Riott towards the end, and this set up for the end of the match as well. She did a dive to the outside, a crossbody to the outside, makes it look like she had hurt her ankle. And I like the fact that the commentary team kind of makes mention of that she needs to hide that from both of them, but more particularly Sonya Deville with her MMA background, everything in that sense, which does eventually lead into the finish where you have Sonya Deville with Ruby Riott in the ankle lock for a decent amount of period of time, but then eventually kind of out of nowhere in its own way, they do set these up pretty good with the cameras where there's multiple people around, and Ember Moon comes in with the Eclipse almost out of nowhere. Hits Sonya Deville. She rolls out of the ring and she ends up pinning Ruby Riott. So Ember Moon is going on to the Fatal 4-Way. Again, really good match. Good selling on all sides here. I really did. This was just a rather enjoyable match all around for this week's episode of NXT, which honestly I thought was a pretty good NXT, though we did have a couple we did have like a couple of quick matches in there. It wasn't more on match quality, it was just kind of the storytelling that they were going for inside of this match. Up next, we had a little security camera footage. The NXT loves doing the security camera footage, and I don't mind them for doing so as well. You had Undisputed Era meeting up with Roderick Strong, and they were kind of trying to do the whole, here's an Undisputed Era shirt for you. You're going to be in the Undisputed Era, Roderick Strong. And he kind of just, puts it back on their shoulder and kind of just leaves them. I thought it was pretty, like they played it off as being completely cordial. And Roderick Strong just saying, nope, we're not doing it. Not doing it, not gonna do it at all. Anything in that sense, which of course leads you to believe that maybe Roderick Strong is joining them here in the very near future. So this leads us to a backstage segment with William Regal, where he was going about announcing how the final spot for the the final spot for qualifying will be determined with the NXT Women's Title match. I like the aspect that they brought Billie Kay and Peyton Royce into this one. They did a really good job of setting up as like they were trying to butter up William Regal to just put Billie Kay in there, and then she's like. But then William Regal's just like, you know, we're going to have a battle royal for everybody who hasn't had a chance yet. We're going to do a battle royal next week. Billie Kay, Peyton Royce kind of just storm off in disgust, not liking it in any way. Just some really good stuff. I did like what they were doing here. The adding of Billie Kay and Peyton Royce into it, I thought made that segment work a little bit more to go along with it. And it just adds a little bit more importance to it, which I think they're going to be pretty much, I think they set it up as a 16-woman battle royal right now, and yeah, a lot of the people that you saw in there were from the Mae Young Classic, so we're going to see a good chunk of those people that were in the Mae Young Classic showing up here in this case. So up next was Real Mendoza going up against Alistair Black. This match was really quick. Alistair Black going over with the Black Mass, but this was more the storytelling between Alistair Black and Velveteen Dream. Velveteen Dream comes out right off the bat. He takes Alistair Black's vest and just puts it on. It's like he's trying to garner the attention of Alistair Black, and he just kind of looks baffled for a moment. It's like, what are you doing? Type bit where it does allow Real Mendoza to eventually gain some control. He gets to show off a few of his moves, but then kind of falling prey to the Black Mass kick afterwards. And after the match, basically Velveteen Dream just kind of walking around, walking up the rampway. Alistair Black just looking at the hard camera the entire time. And is like he wasn't fully acknowledging them in any way, shape, or form. I think the whole aspect, and I'm liking the aspect of this one so far. Is you're just getting a lot of good, good character work on both sides here, and I actually will be very interested to see how this match plays off when it goes down. They do play it off as Alistair Black looks at him briefly. It's like, is that his form of acknowledgement or something in that sense? Is that what Velveteen Dream's looking for? No, I think what the whole aspect of this is that Velveteen Dream wants him to say his name in some way, shape, or form, and he's not going to end it until he gets that. So I think it's been some really good stuff so far. Up next, you had a Drew McIntyre interview, and this was a very interesting interview. This was more of Drew McIntyre kind of telling his story, because people have known that Drew McIntyre was in the WWE at one point in time, and he had left for about 3 years. Or he was gone for about 3 years, and he talked about being laid off and what he was going to do and how everything was going to be okay. This was some good stuff. I did like what they were doing here. This does eventually lead to Selena Vega interrupting this interview. And she said, and it's interesting to note that she says she was watching this on her phone. That was interesting how they played it off. But they kind of have a cordial back and forth. I love how Drew McIntyre is like, okay, this is happening. Go ahead, sit down. Sit down. We will talk. And he's just cordial about the entire situation. Selena Vega basically challenges him for Andrade Cien Almas. You got basically Drew McIntyre doing his normal bit. It's like, you know what? Next time you come up to me making this challenge, why don't you bring him and see if he actually wants this match? Because they play it off as Drew McIntyre just doesn't care in the terms of who he ends up facing and everything in that sense. I think I actually like this segment. First of all, the story that they told through Drew McIntyre, kind of, I don't play it off as actual sympathy towards him, but it just came off as very heartfelt and getting his story out there of what was going on in that side of everything. And basically, again, setting up this match with Andrade Cien Almas. At least it seems like they're going on that route, with Selena Vega showing up inside of this interview area. Up next was Cassius Ono going up against Cesaro Bonatti. This was another quick match. Cassius Ono goes over with a very vicious rolling forearm to the back of the head. Oh man, it looked extremely vicious. Cassius Ono looking pretty good inside of these matches, but you kind of play it off as he is kind of the he'll win these matches, but he will lose the bigger matches type feel. That's just what I get from Cassius Ono at this point in time. But again, and not to say that that's necessarily a bad thing. I think he's done a pretty good job so far within his role on NXT at this point in time. It'll be interesting to see if they ever do bring him up to the main roster in any way, shape, or form, or if he'll just basically be down in NXT for the rest of his career, or at least the rest of his time back in WWE. So this brings us to the main event of the night, which was Undisputed Era going up against Sanity. And this was a good match. It ends in no contest. But I think the match, the six-man tag in general, was pretty good. Kind of setting up as maybe Sanity is gaining the control over Undisputed Era, everything in that sense. But they get destroyed by the returning Authors of Pain. So there have been a lot of talks with the Authors of Pain. Were they going to go up to main? To be honest with you, they are kind of ready for the main roster in that sense of everything. But they play it, but they had not been on TV since the actual last takeover, and we hadn't seen them on main roster. We hadn't seen them on NXT. It was like, what was actually going on with them? They come out here to get their revenge on on Sanity and basically beat them down, where you had like Undisputed Era having a bit of an issue with beating Sanity, and they kind of just look on in awe, like what the Authors of Pain was doing to Sanity throughout this entire time frame. Now, for spoilers, we know where this is going. It's actually already been fully announced. I think even WWE.com has kind of spoiled it. That this is going to a War Games match with the Undisputed Era, Sanity, the Authors of Pain teaming up with Roderick Strong. First of all, War Games. One of the few WCW concepts I actually liked. That was a good concept. I've actually seen what they've done with the War Games match with the two rings, the cage, everything in that sense. It'll be interesting to see what WWE does for their own concept of War Games. Whether or not it's going to have the two rings set up, what are they going to be doing throughout the entire thing? Is it going to involve a cage? Is it, like I said, is it going to involve the cage? Is it going to involve two rings? What are they going to have their own special rules to it? What are they going to do with this? But the factor that they're bringing War Games back in, big ups. And I know this is going to kind of be for a spoiler for down the line, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later. But overall this week, good. I did like this. I did like this setup for the for everything that they're doing with the Authors of Pain and Sanity and the Undisputed Era. Everything in that sense. The stuff that, like, you had those little storyline tidbits with the security camera footage with Roderick Strong and Adam Cole and all that stuff I thought was really good. The triple threat match was the triple threat match with Ember Moon, Sonya Deville, and Ruby Riott was really good. This was just overall very good NXT, and it was a very enjoyable hour just for watching in general, because not only were you getting some good matches in there, you're getting some good storytelling as well. They're getting the story across where they wanted to end up going, and you can see it progressing bit by bit by bit. So that is pretty much everything I've got for WWE NXT this week. Now, for other programming notes, I'm doing this on a Friday night. It's right around 6 o'clock-ish or so. Probably in about another half an hour. Maybe an hour. I might be doing it around 7. I don't know yet. We will be talking about I'll be going over to my Twitch page, and we will be doing tables, ladders, and chair simulations at that point in time. So that also means I'm going to be talking about the changes towards tables, ladders, and chairs. Like my predictions video that I put up this morning is basically moot now. It's basically moot at this point in time. I had done everything based off of the initial card, but some things went down, and apparently there's I don't know how to say the illness, but there was an illness that has kind of been, you know, that kind of went around the WWE locker room, and it's causing both Roman Reigns and Bray Wyatt to be out of Sunday at this point in time. So they have had their replacements. I'll talk about those on that during that stream here in a few minutes, within the next hour or so. And I'll also be creating a video, hopefully a really quick video, for the for basically everything that's going around with this whole giveaway. Like, again, link is in the description for the giveaway if you want to enter it in there. There are multiple ways of entering the actual giveaway itself, but I will hopefully be making a video, at least I'm going to be attempting to kind of explain what's going on a little bit more. So with that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed everything, and have a great rest of your day.